What's up everyone, my name is Will and welcome to one more video about Void Hunters. In this one we're gonna talk about the interview from Ash, which is a very known content creator about Raid, Shadow Legends, and he did this interview with Void Hunter developers. And they talked a lot about the game, they gave us some more extra information that will help to understand more what is their concept and what they are planning for this game. And I just want to summarize all of that information and let you know what is the most important things and what we know so far about Void Hunters. So they start talking about the company backstory. They've been developing this game for 6 years and they've been creating some other games these past years. Then they talk about what inspired Void Hunters, and basically they started as two brothers. So the two developers you are just watching on the screen, they are two brothers that started this company, and basically then some friends joined their team and they start developing some games. They inspired on Star Wars, Lord of the Rings, those were some of the inspirations. Then they start developing this MMO, inspired on Lord of the Rings, but was just a small project, just for fun, nothing serious. And then they started making games in a more serious way, and they've created a few since then. They also shared the number of players on Alpha, which was 20,000, and for a game that's not much people know about it and was just basically passing the word, was quite a lot, and they were very satisfied with that number. Then they talk about the roguelike challenges in this game, and they say this is something new in this genre. We never seen a roguelike mode on this type and style of this game. Usually we might see something similar in a gacha game, but not in this genre. And usually they are much more fast-paced games, but they are planning to do something different. So they have some surprises. They didn't talk about the surprises, but they have some surprises, and the core of the game will be the roguelike mode, but there will be more mechanics, more core mechanics, besides the one we had a chance to test on the last test. They also want to make the combat challenging and fun. Then they talk about the gameplay vision. So they want to enable an auto mode. For the ones that are looking for a auto mode feature, you're going to be able to find this auto mode feature. But they want to make this roguelike mode challenging and fun at the same time. Not just something you want to farm over and over again. No, they want you to enjoy actually to beat all of those levels. So they want to make it a unique gameplay with challenging strategies, and they want this to be made with the roguelike mode. If you don't have no time, don't worry, because you always have the auto mode, and farm quick will have both options, okay? So if you have time to play, you can just push your stages to higher levels. If you don't have time to play, you can just use all your resources, farm some energy. Of course, it will take longer to progress on the game, but it's still a viable option. Then they talked a little bit about Raid. Developers played Raid for a while and other gacha games of the same genre. They also don't want the players to spend many hours in the game. They want us to give a good experience of gameplay instead of forcing to play over and over again, which some of the gacha games do this. They force you to farm over and over again every day. They don't want to do this. They want to give you challenges and really enjoy the gameplay. The autoplay can be customized and make it more efficient. So if you create a really good team with a good strategy, it will work on autoplay. They also don't want to be a new Raid or even beat Raid, because as I said, the game is really big. It's a game with years and years of experience, been growing a lot. So they don't really are trying to compete against Raid or trying to beat them. No, they want to do something different, and they don't even think it's a good strategy to compete with them. They want to do something different and create a unique experience for all the players that are looking for a game like this. Then they talk about balancing the grind. So they know there are different players. Some players, they will have enough hours to play a lot or even all day. Some players, they have some other things to do on their life and they can't play so much. So there's both options in this game for both of those type of players. Some players will go and play lots of hours, while other players will have less time. So they want these to have solutions where you can play quite a lot if you want, but if you don't have time, you can use resources instantly, as I said before, and you'll progress slower, but you'll still progress. So there's both options, and this is quite good. Even myself, I play a lot of gacha games. Some of them make me to waste a lot of time just to grind over and over again the same thing, and that's not enjoyable, right? So you can do this instantly. There's an option. They add it on the test server. When you complete a level, you can basically do it instantly, all right? You use your resources in one click, and that's it. You are done for the day. Of course, there's more content you can do if you spend more time, but you don't lose any progress, okay? You don't lose any resources that you could have spent farming. Then they talk about guilds and social. So we're gonna have some sort of guild mode with weekly cycles where you can play with your guild. Will be a new mode. There will be another new mode in future, similar to a guild versus guild. And they also don't want the direction to the game to be playing as much as possible, okay? They don't want you to waste loads of hours just doing the same thing over again. Instead, they want every new mode to be a new experience, an enjoyable experience with a meaning. Then they just talked about their favorite video games and where they inspired. As I said before, Lord of the Rings, Raid, they inspired on Diablo, Heroes of Might and Magic, and Master of Magic. Then, an important topic, and I have a lot about this one, is about monetization. So they talked about monetization. I really liked, they were pretty straightforward about it, and they basically said the game needs to earn money to be in the market, and that's a reality of any game. So, in the reality of these games, game earns more money from heavy spenders, and basically the core of the monetization in this game will be the gacha mechanic, okay? Summoning all of these new characters that will be released. So, of course, there will be hard to earn some of the Lego characters, and might take time or luck, one of them. But there are other things that will not take so much time, like gear. You can scale a lot with gear, and this will be faster. Also, you can craft. They talk about crafting rare and epic heroes. So, looks like you can easily craft rare and epic, but will be hard to craft Legos. They also want to address both players free-to-play and heavy spenders. This is really hard to do. Of course, if you want to spend on heavy spenders, you don't want to forget about free-to-players, because after all, the game is about all the players, okay? It's not just about heavy spenders. Of course, they'll generate more money into the game, but you need all the players playing to make it successful, right? So the philosophy of the game is every character is important, and there's a counter for every character. So basically, you need to develop all the characters, not just Legos. You need to develop epics and rare characters as well, which means even if you are a heavy spender, you still need to rely on some of those epic and rare characters because they will be important. Okay, especially because there's not much characters on release. They talked about 60 characters between rare, epics, and Legos on launch, and will be 80 on total. So around 20 of them will be common and uncommon. Then at the start, it's okay to focus on favorite characters, but as you progress, you'll need to develop more characters. So at start, if you're focusing just on the characters you like, will be fine. But eventually, you're going to need to develop more characters because each character has different debuffs, different abilities that you will need for different stages. You'll find you using rare and epics no matter type of player you are. If you buy just a pass, there will be a pass, they talked about this, so there will be a monthly pass, and you can definitely get more Legos with this, but probably you will not have all characters immediately, and some modes will be hard to play without all the characters. But with time, you will be able to reach that as well, okay? So if you're a heavy spender, you might be lucky and get all the characters you need right away. If you are just low spender, it might take a little bit more, and if you are a free-to-player, same thing. But of course, luck matters in a gacha game, and you might be lucky get the characters you need, and this way progress more in the game. But the game will be challenging because they don't want heavy spenders to clear all content in 2 weeks, and this is very important. They don't want to give the ability to all the heavy spenders just to spend all the money they want, get all the characters, everything they need, and then bam, 2 weeks, the game is fully cleared. They talked about this, and it's true, they want to make it challenging, so they really take some time. To progress all the modes and eventually conquer everything, okay? There will be some sort of mechanics, it will take time no matter how much money you are dumping into the game. Then they talked the free-to-play versus pay-to-win. So and this was more directed to PvP. So everything on PvP will be set up in a cycle, and each cycle will be allocated with characters of the same level, or accounts or players of the same level. Then you can attack once. If you are a heavy spender, you'll go right away to higher leagues because you're basically, supposedly, your team will be stronger, so go to higher leagues, but you'll never compete against low spenders because supposedly your teams will be weaker, so you'll be in lower leagues. So you'll never be on the same leagues and still will be able to get some nice rewards from this PvP. So every detail matters, and I really enjoyed this because this set is not just winning and losing. Basically, you are getting points for each match you do, and you get points for everything, every detail on game. With buffs, you get points. If you are healing your characters, all of that grants you points. So it will be more about a point system, not just winning and losing. So basically, you can lose and still earn some points. And the PvP mode will go for 2 days. You set up your defense on 1 day, the other one you need to attack. And that's what I talked about, the PvP mode. Then they talked about their team. So they are composed by 2 divisions. They have an RPG division, which is the one taking care of Void Hunters, and an Adventure division. So on their RPG, the one taking care of Void Hunters is a team of 50 people. And of course, there are some concerns because it's a small team, and teams from Raid and all of those big games, they have loads of people working for them, but they are not really worried about that, okay? They're only worried about the number of characters that will have at launch. So as they said, this can be a challenge because the number of the characters they have will be not much. So it's around 60 at launch, which I think it's quite a generous number. And more game modes will require more investment, but their focus is creating something more meaningful. And this is very important. They're not just thinking about creating loads of content. They want to create content, but good content, okay? Something you really enjoy to play, and you take it as a challenge and feels rewardable when you complete that challenge. So they spend a lot of time as well on each character because they want to make each character feel unique. And if you tested the game, if you played the test version, you will notice that, okay, every character has a unique feeling, okay, completely different design with their own story and their own weapon. They really feel unique, and they really invest a lot of time on this, and I think character design is just amazing. And they also said, don't expect to be successful as Raid, okay? So they don't expect to be a next Raid or a Raid killer, as you've seen on my thumbnail. They just want the game to be well received and to generate enough money that gives them the ability to grow and become a better game and bring more content. And finally, they talked about release date. So they are aiming for late Q1 2027, and this should be late Q1, should be around March. Okay, we are aiming between February and March. This can be subject to change because some stuff can happen and can go wrong, but they really want the game to be ready to launch. When the game is launched, they want it to be fully ready with everything they are aiming for. Okay, they want the release of the game to be good and great. So for now, it's going well, as I said, and they expect to accomplish this launched timing, so late Q1 2027. And they also said they've been developing the game for 6 years. The first year was not Void Hunter, was just a concept. So basically, they've been truly developing this game for 5 years, which is quite a lot. But it's also a small team, but I think they are really doing well. And I think they are really working well, and everything they've created so far looks really great. Okay, this is everything they talk about in this interview. I think all of these news are amazing and great, and I really liked to hear and to listen to all of this interview. Was 1 hour and 5 minutes. I think Ash did a great interview, and the developers are doing an amazing job as well. Okay, comment below what you think about this game if you're planning to play. As you guys can see, I've created this channel, will be dedicated to Void Hunters because I think the game will be very successful, and because of this, I created this new channel. So I hope you guys enjoy all the content I'll bring into this channel about Void Hunters. So don't forget, leave your like, subscribe, I'll catch you in the next one.